Have you ever tried to fix a broken relationship only to realize it would never feel the same again? There's a saying that keeps echoing in my mind: you only get one shot at a relationship. At first, I thought it sounded cynical, but the more I reflected on it, and the more I studied how markets work, the more I understood what it really means. Let me explain. Trust is like a one-way street. When a relationship breaks, what actually shatters isn't just the connection, it's the trust. And here's the uncomfortable truth: trust doesn't regenerate like a health bar in a video game. You can apologize, you can reconcile, but the psychological cost of trusting again? It's permanently higher. Your brain doesn't have a delete button. You might forgive, you might move on, but the scar tissue remains. The memory of being hurt, disappointed, or abandoned doesn't vanish. It just fades into the background. And fading isn't the same as disappearing. This is why so many people feel that rebuilding a broken relationship costs more energy than starting fresh with someone new. It's not about being cold, it's about being realistic. The stock market understands this better than we do. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The stock market operates on the exact same principle. Think about a stock breaking out from its bottom for the very first time. That initial surge, that's the golden window. The risk is low, the upside is massive, and everything feels electric. But if you miss it, chasing it later is a completely different game. The risk-reward ratio shifts. The magic moment is gone. It's just like meeting someone for the first time. That pure, unfiltered experience of getting to know each other? It only happens once. You can reconnect years later, but you're not the same people anymore. You're meeting strangers wearing familiar faces. Or consider what investors call a valuation repair: when an undervalued company finally gets recognized and its stock price corrects upward. That journey from undervalued to fairly valued, it only happens once. After that, any further gains require a completely new story, new growth, new reasons to believe. Relationships work the same way. Repairing broken trust is a one-time event. If it breaks again, you're not repairing anymore. You're just holding on. Why we can't let go. So if rebuilding is so costly, why do we keep trying? Because our brains are wired to hate losing things. Psychologists call it loss aversion. The pain of losing something feels twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. That's why investors hold on to losing stocks far longer than they should. And it's why we cling to relationships that stopped working a long time ago. Then there's the sunk cost trap. You've invested years into someone, shared memories, emotional labor, late night conversations. How can you just walk away from all that? It feels like waste. But here's what sunk cost thinking gets wrong. The more you've invested, the harder it becomes to see clearly. You're not staying because the relationship is good. You're staying because leaving feels like admitting defeat. And sometimes what we call love is actually just the inability to accept that something is over. We confuse "I can't let go" with "I still care." Regret masquerades as affection. Which relationships are worth fighting for? Not all relationships are the same. Some are like growth stocks. They compound over time. Others are like sinking ships that drain your portfolio. A relationship worth repairing has a few clear signs. You grow together. The other person invests too. They apologize, they listen, they adjust. Problems get solved instead of repeated. And most importantly, there's real warmth underneath it all, not just loneliness or habit or fear of starting over. But some relationships are just losses waiting to happen. The person only shows up when they need something. Communication feels exhausting. The same painful patterns keep repeating. Their presence makes you more anxious, more insecure, more tired. If you find yourself constantly pouring energy into someone who gives nothing back, you're not in a relationship, you're in a bad trade. A simple way to evaluate any relationship. Here's a framework I use now. Think of it like valuing a stock. What do you actually get from this relationship? Security, happiness, support when you're down? That's your return. What does it cost you? Emotional labor, walking on eggshells, always being the one to reach out? That's your investment. Strip away the nostalgia and the fantasies. What is this person actually like? That's the fundamental value. How stable is their behavior? Are they hot and cold, unpredictable, emotionally volatile? That's your risk. And finally, Does this relationship have a future where things get better? Or are you just hoping for a miracle that will never come? When returns are high and costs are low, you found something rare. When it's the opposite, you're overpaying for something that isn't worth it. The uncomfortable truth. Wanting to fix broken things is deeply human. It doesn't make you weak. But not every relationship deserves to be saved. Some connections had their moment, and that moment has passed. The healthiest thing you can do is learn to tell the difference between relationships that compound and relationships that just consume. When you start seeing your connections through this lens, something shifts. You stop chasing what's already gone. You stop bleeding energy into people who will never meet you halfway. And you start protecting your most valuable asset, yourself. Because at the end of the day, you are the portfolio. And every relationship you hold affects your returns. Choose wisely.